This boy suddenly wakes up to find ultimate cybernetic superpowers in his mind, causing him to feel and visualize digital signals around him, intercept and hear nearby cell phone transmissions, check everyone's cell phone activity, and even read their messages. He also goes beyond everything and manages to falsify digital signals to destroy nearby electronic devices, giving him the power to take control of the world around him. Let's dive deep into his mind to learn whether these powers will always perform in his own favor or against him. The story opens in London, which follows a 16-year-old boy, Tom, an average teenager who is struggling to get by. On one random day, Tom is going to school when his best friend, Danny, gives him a new cell phone, knowing that he can't afford one himself. Tom is a shy type of guy and always struggles to pursue his longtime crush and neighbor, Lucy. After the class, Danny expresses his concerns about Tom's feeling for Lucy and asks him to get in touch with her using that cell phone. When Tom is having a friendly conversation with Lucy, one of the school bullies, Eugene, mocks him for being a shy student. Lucy asks Tom to help her prepare for the upcoming exams, to which he agrees emphatically. Tom lives with his beautiful grandmother, who is a novel writer. He waits up until the night before visiting Lucy for the studies at her apartment. However, as he walks up to the door, he hears a clamor and also notices Lucy's brother passed out for some reason. He then witnesses a group of gang members, all wearing masks, exiting Lucy's room while recording the scene. Tom flees and attempts to call the police, but is shot in the head eventually, rendering him unconscious. Days after the attack, Tom wakes up in the hospital with much less knowledge of what he has been through. His doctor informs him that he has been in a coma, and because he was shot in the head while using his cell phone, fragments of the device have been embedded in his skull as a result. He also asks about Lucy, to which they respond that she was discharged about a week ago from the hospital. Tom feels guilty about running away that night and blames himself for not helping Lucy. Tom also feels some unusual behavior in his brain and mysteriously sees some digital signals around him, which doesn't make any sense to him for the moment. One day during breakfast, his grandmother asks him to visit Lucy, but he is not ready to face her because of the incident, blaming himself for running away instead of helping her. However, she manages to convince him, and while on the way to Lucy's apartment, Tom begins to sense and hear nearby phone transmissions. He then comes across Eugene in the elevator, who once more mocks him for nothing. After entering Lucy's apartment, Tom once more visualizes digital signals and notices Eugene's phone ID and Lucy's internet device history, hinting that Eugene was here. He finally meets Lucy in her room, who is also happy to see Tom alive. He apologizes for not helping her that night, but Lucy is not mad at him for not being a hero. After leaving Lucy's apartment, Tom begins to hear hundreds of nearby phone transmissions and realizes that he can feel and visualize digital signals around him. Finding this whole thing extremely disturbing and unusual, Tom runs into his room but passes out eventually. During this time, Tom gets the ability to retrieve knowledge from the past and somehow begins to recognize the masked attackers. Tom wakes up the next morning in his room and finds everything normal. He leaves for school that day and meets his friend Danny, who is surprised to see him completely fine. Tom expresses his concerns about Lucy's attackers and claims that Eugene was involved, but Danny disagrees to his claims. While on the way to school, Tom notices that he can see everyone's cell phone activity and even read their messages. During his class, Tom uses his newfound ability to spy on Eugene and notices that he is sending a video footage to his friend. The video is the recording of that incident, which shows that Lucy was attacked and raped by the gang, confirming his suspicions that Eugene was involved in the whole matter. Tom then uses his mind power to intercept and falsify Eugene's cell phone signals, humiliating him in front of others. In the meantime, Lucy has become a recluse since the incident, traumatized by her rape. Since Tom is now positive about Eugene's involvement in the matter, he decides to keep an eye on him and goes to a bar upon Danny's invitation. Eugene and his gang members are also there, and Tom starts matching more evidences with the incident video, including a tattoo, a bracelet, and pair of shoes from one of the attackers. Eugene notices Tom staring at him, and as Tom slowly approaches him, he confronts him for a fight. Luckily, Danny intervenes and takes Tom out of the bar. Tom returns home and starts talking to Lucy using his cell phone, but instead of typing, he only uses his mind to send replies. He visits to meet Lucy outside her apartment, and they have a friendly conversation in which Tom says that he hopes Lucy will be back to school very soon. While they are talking, they notice Eugene and his gang roaming around, and Tom uses his mind to send him a challenging messaging. Tom then begins to use his cybernetic abilities to learn hacking from around the world, and starts accessing Eugene's cell phone data the next day. He follows Eugene while hacking into his phone and gains access to his microphone. Eugene goes to meet a guy named Cuts, who seems to be the leader of the gang. Tom is now determined to use his newfound abilities to find all of Lucy's attackers and fight them to bring them to justice. Additionally, he uses an unknown number to contact Lucy, just to pretend that he is Lucy's well-wisher. Later at night, Tom uses his powers to access everyone's cell phone camera and starts keeping an eye on Eugene and his other gang members. He also intercepts into other electronic devices in their rooms, creating a delusion that a demonic presence is attacking them. The next day, Tom goes to meet Lucy after his school and starts telling her about his day. At the same time, Lucy starts texting that unknown number, completely unaware that it's actually Tom. Since Tom is using his mind to send replies instead of touching his phone, she is unable to suspect anything about him. When Lucy asks him about his name, Tom replies that she can call him iBoy. Because Lucy has been in a trauma since the incident, Tom convinces her to leave her house to go on a dinner with him, and she happily agrees. When he returns home, he discovers that his grandmother is facing difficulty paying the bills, so he uses his mind to do all the payments. Lucy and Tom go out to spend some time the same evening, where Lucy feels thankful to him, because he was the only one who came to meet her after the attack. When they return from dinner at night, they are confronted by Eugene and his gang. He blames Tom for stalking them since the incident and sending them those childish messages using an unknown number. However, Tom uses his mind to send them another message, pretending that the stalker is someone else. Lucy gets frightened and returns home, feeling sorry for what just happened. After the confrontation, Tom's vengeance grows, and he follows the gang into the street while they are breaking into a vehicle. As they enter the vehicle, Tom uses his mind power to gain full control of the vehicle. He locks them inside the car and uses the vehicle radio to confront them about their crimes. He asks them about their gang leader and starts to burn the engine, forcing them to confess the name of their boss. One of the gang members finally confesses the name, saying it to be Cuts, the guy whom Eugene met earlier. He lets them out of the car, as we see Tom watching them from the end of the street. Tom then uses his power to track down the location of the boss, who gave the orders to stage the rape. While Cuts is having a night out with Danny and other friends, Tom hacks into his CCTV camera and shows him a video footage, urinating inside his car. As Cuts leaves with his gang to check, Tom breaks into his house and destroys many electronic devices with his mind. He also finds a store of cocaine hidden inside a speaker and steals it. Tom then plants the cocaine on Lucy's aggressors, intending to send them behind the bars for some time, and then sends an anonymous tip to the police about the drugs. Though he lacks the evidence to get them charged for the rape, he hopes that putting them in jail will approximate the kind of justice they deserve. He now adopts the alias iBoy and publishes his vigilante acts on the internet, gaining publicity around the city for taking down the thugs. After all that, Cuts is called by someone named Elman, who threatens him to take control of the situation around the city. This further reveals that Cuts is also working under the supervision of another boss, the main bad guy of the story and the leader of underground drug trade. Tom hears his phone transmission, but is unable to find Elman's identity on the internet. Cuts then orders all his gang members to steal every piece of technology around the town, since they suspect that someone is hacking into the digital devices to track their every move. The next day, Tom once more hears Elman's phone transmission and discovers that more drugs are coming to the town. He starts following Cuts at night and also informs Lucy using his alias that he is going to fix everything for her. He starts tracking Cuts using his cell phone location, but Cuts outsmarts him by dropping his phone into a trash can. However, Tom still manages to track him down using his mind power and arrives at the delivery location. He sneaks into their hideout location and easily beats one of the gang members from behind. Unfortunately, Tom is unaware that the gang has set up an ambush and gets trapped when the gang catches up to him. They beat him up brutally, but he still manages to create a high-pitched screeching sound, paralyzing the attackers for some time. He barely manages to escape before Cuts can shoot him. As Tom walks away from the scene, he stumbles his way home and passes out in a park on the way. Lucy tries to contact him for the exams, because he promised to attend the school together. She eventually goes to school alone and finds Tom missing from the exams. Tom shows up at school after missing his exam and finds Lucy upset for breaking his promise. Later at night, Tom visits his doctor and asks him to operate and take the phone fragments out of his brain, thinking of his unusual power as a burden now. The doctor claims that the pieces have moved deeper into his brain, leaving no chance to take them out. Tom returns home after the appointment, only to discover that the drug traders have broken into his house. Elman, the crime boss, is finally revealed in the film, and Cutts manages to take the grandmother hostage. Additionally, it is revealed that Lucy has been kidnapped by Eugene and his gang upon Elman's orders. Elman confronts Tom for taking down his drug business and stealing all the money from his bank accounts. He demands that Tom gives back the money he stole in exchange for Lucy and his grandmother's safety. He declines at first, to which Elman beats him down. He also informs him about Lucy's kidnapping, further forcing him to do what he says. Elman then calls Danny inside the house, revealing him to be the culprit for disclosing Tom as the real iBoy. Danny feels guilty for betraying his childhood friend, but takes the money from Elman and leaves. Tom eventually concedes and uses his mind to help Elman recover his money. Additionally, he tries to ensure Lucy's safety and uses one of the kidnapper's cell phone to call the police. As police sirens are heard nearby, Eugene and his gang immediately hide inside while holding Lucy at gunpoint. The cops enter the location, but are unable to find any suspicious activity. Since Eugene dropped his gun in the effort, Lucy takes advantage of the situation and picks up the gun. She holds everyone at gunpoint and confronts them for attacking her and raping her, despite the fact that they were childhood friends. Elman also begins to suspect some activity in Tom's eyes and decides to drive Tom to the place where Lucy's kidnapping occurred. When they arrive at the location, they find Lucy being set free of her restraints surprisingly. Eugene takes advantage of the distraction and attacks her from behind. As Elman demands Tom to continue transferring the money, he musters his remaining strength, causing all the cell phones of Elman's henchmen to detonate, incapacitating all but Elman. Tom follows Elman outside, but Elman manages to attack him from behind. Tom once more creates a high-pitched screeching sound, paralyzing Elman for a moment. However, he quickly retaliates and is about to kill him, when Lucy emerges with the gun and fires some bullets in the air. She clicks through the trigger once more, only to discover that the gun is now empty. He grabs her and beats her down with a punch. Tom wakes up in the interim and unleashes a high pulse from his brain, knocking everyone out including himself. He awakens later in the hospital with his grandmother sitting by his side. They both laugh at each other, and the scene changes to Tom having dinner with her in his house. The next day, Tom finds Danny waiting to apologize to him for revealing his identity to Elman. Danny tries to repay him with cash to his mistreatment, but he rebuffs him, saying he hadn't taken down the person who was filming Lucy's attack, suggesting it was Danny. He rejects his apology and leaves to meet Lucy on the roof of their building, who has made a picnic for the two of them. They feel happy and safe that things have got sorted out, but they won't be able to forget what just happened. They share a soft kiss, depicting that they are now in a relationship, and the movie ends without resolving whether Tom's pulse removed his powers or not.